Hi, my name is Adrienne Davis. I'm a CPA and financial advisor. Today I'm here to give a lesson on financial literacy. Financial literacy is important to be able to create financial security for your future. As a Black woman in a white male-dominated space, I am able to offer my clients authenticity as well as relatability when it comes to their finances. Today we'll be going through 4 modules. The first will be creating a financial plan and setting financial goals. The second, debt management. The third, risk management. And the fourth will be investing. So let's get started. Welcome back. Today we'll be starting with module 1, which is financial planning. There are 3 tiers. The first being creating a financial plan. The second being budgeting. And third being savings. Creating a financial plan is imperative in order to align your financial goals with your current finances. So with that being said, let's move into budgeting. So how does one budget? There are various ways. The first, you could do 50-30-20, or the second being 60-20-20. And you may be asking, well, what do these numbers mean? So 50-30-20 means you're allocating 50% of your expenses to your fixed expenses. 30 means you're doing 30% of your income to your discretionary income and 20% to your savings. This is scalable, so 60-20-20 could be 60 to fixed expenses, 20 to savings, 20 to discretionary income. However, if your fixed expenses are higher, for example, you live in a high cost of living city or you have a lot of debt, of course, we will want to work towards getting you to the 50-30-20 or the 60-20-20 level. Now, the third is actually saving money. So like I said, 20% of your income should be going to savings every month. So the reason behind that is, one, so that you have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is key just in case of losing a job or medical emergency, having money on hand that you can go to and use. And the pandemic is a great example of when people tap into their emergency fund. There's no peace of mind like having money set aside in a bank account for you to use in case of emergencies. Also, any short-term financial goals that you may have will also want to be in a bank account, just because you don't want to have it invested in the market due to volatility. But over time, I try to coach my clients to have their money invested in the market, just because we want to make sure that we're beating out inflation over time. Next, we'll go to module 2, which will be debt management. Welcome back to module 2, which is debt management. So today I'll touch on a few various types of debt. So good as well as bad debt. So the first one, home mortgages. Home interest rates right now are about 2 to 3%, historically low. As we think about interest rates, that's a lot of how we determine what is good and bad debt, but there are other factors as well. So for example, how does it affect your credit score? So let's move into another type of debt. We'll talk about student loans. Most people have student loans. Interest rates are typically 6%. which are not that much higher than your home mortgage rate. And again, this is a good type of debt because if you didn't have your student loans and your degree, you would not be able to have your career and potential job. Car loans could be good or bad debt considering the interest rate. So if your interest rate's about 2%, then your money could be making more money elsewhere, which is in the market, which we'll discuss later. If your interest rate for your car is about 20%, then that's a bit on the predatory side. And so we want to hurry up and get that paid off so that you could put your money towards other financial goals. Also, when I think about different types of debt, I think about how much is your payment per month. So for example, if your car payment's about $500 and your fixed expenses on top of that are about $1,000, that totals up to $1,500. If you're bringing in $1,200 a month, then your financial goals are not able to be met because you're in the negative every month. And so you will want to quickly pay off that car note in order to free up your money and have more income going towards savings or just being in the positive every month. And then finally, we're going to touch on credit cards, which are typically predatory considering rates. I see anywhere from 15 to 25%. And a lot of times when I talk with people, I'll ask them what the interest rate is on their credit card, and they're actually unaware. 0% APR rates are actually pretty cool because you can buy stuff on credit, and then it's typically an introductory period about a year. But if you miss a payment or if you don't pay it within the year, then it may go up to 25%. When we think about credit cards, 25% is such a high number because we'll compare that to your bank account. Again, 0.01, 0.4, 0.5% that you're earning in your bank account versus 20% that you're giving to the credit card companies every month. So when I discuss credit cards, I say they're great to use instead of a debit card, for example, due to crime. So if people swipe your card, the credit card company is taking the risk and not you. However, we want to focus on making sure that we're paying the credit card off every month in full, not carrying a balance, and then also staying within that 30% credit utilization. So for example, if your credit card limit is $1,000, you would only want to charge $300 a month in order to stay under that 30%. And then when they send you your statement at the end of the month, you'll want to make sure that you pay that entire $300 off so you're not paying any interest to the credit card company. Next, we'll be moving to Module 3, which is risk management. Welcome back to Module 3, which is risk management. Today, I'll touch on 3 different types of insurance and why it's important to have them. The first is life insurance. There are 2 types of life insurance: term life insurance and permanent life insurance. It's important to have life insurance to make sure you're protecting your family in case of death, as well as locking in your insurability. The way insurance works is you want to be young and healthy because that's when your premiums are going to be lower. So term life insurance, a lot of people may be familiar with because that's what jobs offer as a benefit. So when we think of term life insurance, you get a lot of coverage for a low price. Permanent life insurance is more expensive, and it works similar to owning a home. You're putting money into it, it grows in value, and then you can take it out or you can leave it as a death benefit. If you were to pass away at age 105 and you had permanent life insurance, you would still be able to pass down some money to your beneficiaries. The second type of insurance is disability insurance. Short-term and long-term disability are benefits that are typically offered through an employer. Typically for short-term disability, employers offer about 80% of your salary if you're unable to work for about 90 days. Long-term disability works after 90 days if you're still unable to work and do your job. They offer typically about 60 to 66% of your income. When I speak with a lot of my clients, 1, they're not aware of these benefits, and 2, not aware of the gap. So when we think about our finances, okay, we get 100% of our income typically per month. If we were to take a 40% pay cut, what would that do to our finances? How would that impact us? And then disabilities could be something like a car accident, but it also could be mental. It also could be something like cancer. So if we're thinking about having a medical ailment, for example, and having more medical expenses, but then still taking a 40% salary cut, we want to think about how we can supplement our income, and that's when disability insurance comes into play. Third type of insurance is long-term care insurance, and this is important to protect your future. A lot of us are getting older and living longer, and as a result, may need some sort of long-term care in the future. About 70% of adults in the US will end up needing some type of long-term care. So as we think about this, it is 1, very expensive. The average price is about $7,000 a month to have home health care or to be in a nursing facility. In order to mitigate this risk, you can get long-term care insurance. And so how this works is you pay the insurance company about $150, $250, $350 a month. It just depends based on how much benefit you want in the future. And then once you get into the older age and need some sort of long-term care, the insurance company will pay. Now, some of you may be thinking, well, okay, I'll just rely on government benefits. And one thing to note is that Medicare and Medicaid require you to spend down your assets so that your net worth is only $2,000 in order to receive some sort of benefit. So as we think about building wealth and wanting to create a legacy to pass down to our beneficiaries, it's important to protect your assets as well as your future by getting a long-term care policy so that you wouldn't have to spend down your assets and you would still be taken care of in old age. Next, we'll go to Module 4, which is investing. Welcome back to Module 4, which is investing. Most people are typically introduced to investing through their retirement accounts. This could be your 401k, 403b, 457 plan, traditional IRA, Roth IRA, or SEP IRA. Retirement plans are unique because of the taxation. Typically, you can't access these accounts until you're 59 and a half. You're able to put pre-tax or post-tax money into there, and you could have it grow and then pay the taxes in retirement, or you could have it grow and never have to pay taxes again. What retirement account and how you allocate your money depends on your specific financial goals. Do you think that you're going to be in a higher tax bracket in the future? Do you think you're going to be in a lower tax bracket in the future? Are you going to be in a state in the future, such as Florida, where you won't have to pay any state income tax? These are all factors that determine how you want to allocate your money to retirement. The second type of investing is your short-term, mid-term, long-term, and this is Robinhood, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade. This is money that you could put in the market today and you could pull it out today. You can also put this money in the market today and pull it out 30 years from now when you're in retirement, if you're 30 years old. The unique thing about this is you're taxed right away. So any dividend income, any short-term, long-term capital gains, you will have to pay taxes on it every year. Whereas for your retirement accounts, you won't have to pay taxes on those until you get into retirement, typically. Next, we'll get into traditional investing, which could be short-term, mid-term, or long-term. Honestly, it just depends on your time horizon and your risk tolerance. When we think of the stock market, let's think of Fidelity, Charles Schwab, E-Trade, TD Ameritrade, even Robinhood. The way that this is taxed is different from your retirement accounts because you put money into it. You could either take it out today or you could take it out 30, 50, 60 years from now, and it can function as retirement. However, you're taxed on that money every year. As we think about these different types of stocks, mutual funds, index funds, ETFs, you'll have to think about what risks are you willing to undertake. So with individual stocks such as Apple, Google, Tesla, you're susceptible to the risk of that individual company. With mutual funds, ETFs, index funds, you're spreading out your risk because let's think of it as an egg carton. So the stocks are the egg cartons are the index funds, the mutual funds, the ETFs. You put individual stocks in there and you're able to buy shares. So for example, you buy one share of a mutual fund and it's invested in 100 different companies. You have ownership in all 100 of those companies. The mutual funds are typically actively managed by a money manager. ETFs are typically passively managed, and that's when we think of our robo-advisors. And then finally, index funds typically follow an index. So for example, the S&P 500, which follows the 500 largest companies in the United States. And so if you have an S&P 500 index fund, it's typically tracking that index. Thank you for tuning in to today's financial literacy segment. Hopefully you found the information rewarding. For additional interactive content and segments, be sure to check out Wealth Hub. If you would like to schedule a meeting with me so that you can talk about your unique financial situation, be sure to email me, adrienne.davis@nm.com, or find me on Instagram at Adrienne Davis CPA.